folks, you're listening to the HR Stories podcast. This is our Q&A edition where we ask a question, we tell a story to go along with it. This one's a little different, John. This is not a compliance story. This is not a court case. This is, let's just call it, I hate gossip, but here's a twist.
You know what it is, Chuck, right? And this is something that you and I both talk about a lot in our workshops. We talk about it on the podcast. We talk about it in the Facebook group. We're always talking about HR being, okay, it's black and white. This is the law. You have to follow it. Boom, right? It's black and white. But there's this other, what we call that gray area. And I think this is a perfect example where it's not a legal question, but it's a cultural question. How do we deal with this? How do we make this go away? Or how do we deal with it? And what's the benefit of it? So here's the question, right? And I'm going to kind of personalize this question,
sure.
Right? Just a little
sure.
personalized,
and I think
right?
it's fair to let the listeners know we did individual research on this. We looked at it. And we're coming at you with maybe a couple of different opinions here. So we could be riffing here. We could be riffing.
So here I am, right? I'm the CEO here at the team at HR Stories, right? And so we have a small team, but every once in a while I'll be walking to the break room and I'll hear somebody go, bah, 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 bah. Did you hear what John said the other day? And then I'll hear somebody, oh yeah, I heard him say that, right? And so they're gossiping, maybe about me, maybe about the other John, I don't know, but they're gossiping. How do I stop that, Chuck? Please. How do I get our team to stop gossiping?
Should we be stopping it, John? Should we be stopping it? I mean, I'm going to start with the part everyone expects me to say.
All right.
Gossip can be poison, John. Yeah, it could wreck trust. It could create cliques. It could turn in a workplace into middle school. But here's the twist. And this is where I'm kind of coming at here. I read a great article. It was a research by Rutgers University that basically says, are you ready? Gossiping, especially subordinates talking about a boss, can actually create bonding.
Yeah.
Not good leadership, not a healthy culture, but bonding. And the study found something really human, that people feel mixed emotions like, I really shouldn't be doing this, but it feels so good.
Yeah, and so I will say that I've known this forever.
Really?
And one of the things I talk about in my workshop, because people bring it up all the time, right? It's one of those things like, how do we stop people from gossiping? And we can go through that because it is, right? It's the type of gossiping, but as humans, right? As social beings, gossiping is a way to bond, as you say. I always say connect, but it's a way to bond and connect with other people in our situation, right? In our workplace and whatever. And so there's a connection. It gives off this rush of these chemicals in your body that makes you feel good. Like, I'm connecting with this person. I can share this information. Wow. And so I think it's fascinating that you brought this up. And I really want to kind of hear what the research says and what we should be doing in the workplace to get the benefits of good gossip, or get the benefits of gossip, but also not get the negative part. So how does that
like it?
Happen?
The benefits of good gossip. Good gossip.
Yeah.
Good gossip is like a soap opera. Look, maybe you're thinking I said beneficial, that gossip could be beneficial. And no, not beneficial like we should encourage it as a team building exercise, for goodness sakes. But it could be beneficial in that it serves, as you have so nobly pointed out, a social function. So this research found that after employees gossiped about their boss, they tended to avoid the boss afterward. So there is a downside.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
they also reported a greater sense of belonging with the coworkers and colleagues, and even notice stronger collaboration on that particular day. And Rutgers was careful with the message.
Right.
They're not saying go gossip. They're just saying understand what the need is and understand what need it's filling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gossip
Right.
is filling a need, and
Yeah.
understand it.
Yeah. And I think that's it, right? I think, well, I'm going to say two things. I think that's true, right? I think there is that connection. We want to be connected. We want to share, right? When we share conversations, when we sit around the campfire, right? When we sit a camera around, tell these stories around the campfire, it connects us. And so if we're sharing stories about, oh, I heard Chuck, he was getting this and John was yelling at him because he didn't do something right, and right, we're sharing that, we're getting that connection. Now we have a secret, we have a bond that we have, which can be really powerful to kind of think about, to do. Here's the thing, that when we always say, don't gossip, what we're really saying is don't say negative things about other people, right? Because sometimes it's good gossip. If I come in and say, hey, did you know that Chuck just got a big promotion in his workplace and he's going to be excited and it's so happy? That's good, right? That's a good kind of gossip that we want. We want that. Or the company's doing really well. That's the kind of gossip we want to be spreading around. It's gossip, right? And so kind of getting in there and kind of doing that becomes important. So I just kind of going off that, Chuck. And
Yeah.
so,
No, that whole thing about they're trying to connect, trying to survive socially. But bingo. So this matters because, we're in a weird time where connection at work is at times harder also.
yeah, that's a good point.
It is harder. Remote work, turnover.
Yeah.
And I know we've been talking about the symptom of job hugging, where people are staying longer, but there's still a measure of churn, that people are coming and going. But remote work, instability, turnover, people are investing less in workplace friendships. And other workplace research makes the same point from a different angle. Belonging and authentic connection do tie back to business outcomes. So, when leaders say, why is everyone gossiping? Sometimes the answer is because people don't have enough healthy connection and safe outlets. And I'm just going to say, from my experience, if they don't have enough work, and I've seen that in action. As you know, I've worked in theme parks. I work in hospitality. We have seasons, and I have noticed that in busy seasons, when people are busy and the parks are crowded and the hotels are crowded and we're very, very busy, there's no time to gossip.
Yeah.
And things move forward on a business size. But when things are slow, when maybe you should be preparing for the next season, people just kind of lapse into that that gossipy.
They're filling that time, right?
They're filling the void, filling that time.
That's interesting. Yeah. I also think they don't have as much of that purpose, right? Especially in the hospitality, when they're serving guests and they're having that connection. When they don't have that, there's less of that connection, less of that purpose in there. So what's the playbook, Chuck? What is the things that we should be doing in HR? So how do we handle gossip, as it were?
Well, I think it's pretty clear. We're not encouraging gossip, but just in case you're wondering, we're not.
Yeah, I might a little.
Okay.
I'm just saying. I don't mind a little good gossip now and then. We all do it. Let's not pretend.
As long as it's not hurtful, right? So, but what is the gossip? But let's take a look at what is the gossip trying to accomplish. Because if you meet that need right away, gossip can lose its power. So there's 5 moves, and they're simple, they're usable, and if you're thinking, okay, Chuck, but what do I say? How do I handle it? I remember as I get into these 5 things, you wrote in the in our book, The Ultimate Guide to HR, right? You
Yeah.
wrote something called the Difficult Conversations
Oh
Checklist.
yeah.
And you remember that? And that came directly out of your experience as a leader and a coach. And I thought, you know what, that if folks, if you had the book, you had that checklist, if you're following along, it is in page 196 in the book. If you have the PDF version, it's in page 197. But gossip usually grows in the space where leaders are avoiding these necessary conversations. So first of all, number one, define the line venting versus damaging. Venting sounds like that meeting was frustrating, okay? But toxic gossip sounds like rumors, personal attacks, reputational hits, speculation. That person was an idiot. Did you hear how they led the meeting? They're so incompetent. They couldn't find themselves out of a box, right? That stuff has got to be shut down.
And I think the key word there is that toxic gossip, right? And so
Yeah.
again, I am all for gossip, like, oh, little things like that meeting was frustrating, or I'm just, oh, what are we going to do now? I think that's good. I want that connection. I want people to be able to express themselves. Having that psychological safety in the workplace can be so important. But when it turns toxic, boom, we got to shut it down.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just jumping in all over you.
No, you're right. And so you want to also create an outlet for folks, like a complain up rather than a sideways culture. What I mean by that is give people a safe path to maybe skip levels, pulse checks, have an open door policy, something that does not punish honesty, coach the redirect script. So what do I mean by that? Train your supervisors to say, I hear you. Let's talk about what you need and how we address it directly. I hear you. I hear what you're saying. Maybe even adding, help me understand a little bit more. Tell me more, right? And let's see how we can address it.
Yeah.
And that sometimes really, that's like verbal judo, right? It's like just can deflate someone right away. Fix the leadership behaviors that generate gossip. If the boss is inconsistent, plays favorites, or communicates poorly, that's gonna generate all kind of gossip. People love to talk about that. Watch those personal relationships. Who are you going in the room with? Who are you shutting the door? Who are you always inviting out for coffee? And address rumors fast with facts, not threats. If leaders go silent, the rumor mills fill the vacuum.
Yeah, and our brain, right? Our brain has a natural tendency to be like taking the information it has available and painting a story about it. And so I love that you're talking about, like, put the facts out there, just the facts. That's all you need to know. And don't allow that to get out here. A lot of times when things are unknown, that's when the gossip is the worst, right? When things are unknown, people are like, oh, well, let me tell you, this is what I heard. We see it all the time in social media. Somebody will take one little thing and go, oh, here's what's happening. Chuck is running for governor of Florida. Have you heard?
Yeah. So, John, I'm going to turn it on you just a little bit. And I want you, because of your leadership gurus, how can we channel that bonding need into something healthier? I mean, can it be done? What can we do?
Well, I think a lot of the things we've already said, just kind of thinking about that. And so the question, right, I think what you're trying to get at, right, is that there is a need for connection, right? And so Gallup, right, one of our favorites, does an engagement survey.
Yeah.
One of those questions is, you know which question I'm going to say, is, do you have a best friend at work?
I love that. First, break all the rules. That's one of the key components of that book.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I'm not telling you to be a matchmaker, like, oh, you need to have a friend at work and you need, right? Because some people don't want that, and that's fine and that kind of stuff. But that connection is important, right? You need to make sure you're connecting that. And so, yeah, doing like team debriefs, like, okay, what, right? Because focusing on two things here, right? So you want to focus on there is this need to bond, but also focus on what they're gossiping about. And so if we do team debriefs at the end of the day, right, after action reports, what went well, what didn't go well, what can we change for next time? How can we make this better? What support do you need? Having those conversations, now everyone's on the same page and we don't need to have that gossip. Create affinity groups. Affinity groups are a fantastic way to have connection at work, right? And again, if you're a small company, maybe that's not going to work, but doing that and then just having that personal connection, right? And again, everyone has different boundaries, so you want to be careful. But some of the best teams I've had on at the end of the day, if this worked, right? Sometimes it doesn't work, but at the end of the day, when everyone was done, we all just kind of sat, right? We're just like, man, that was a day, wasn't it? And it was just that time. And sometimes we went out and had an adult beverage together. Other times we just kind of hung out and just chatted. You know, that connection will then allow that team to be closer and closer. Building that trust up, I also think, is really important to kind of think about, like, how do I build trust up? How do I create that psychological safety in there?
All right. So I guess the takeaway at the end here is gossip might feel like connection, but it's a risky way to get it. Any other final words? Drop the mic before we exit this episode of the HR Stories podcast.
I'm just going to say, I don't think this gossip is as bad as people think it is. Don't throw anything at me. Again, it's the toxic gossip, right? And so again, being aware of that, I think what happens is, and this is when I hear managers come in, oh, they're gossiping about me. That is a confidence issue. Yeah. Confident Mike. That is a confidence issue. And so your job as HR is to be like, all right, well, what are they gossiping about? And is that something that you're sensitive about, right? I mean, you know, again, you don't want to do psychoanalytic on them, but maybe push it back a little bit and like, hey, look, people are going to gossip. Don't get so frustrated about what people are gossiping about. Focus on your work, do great work, pull them along, and then the gossip's going to change.
Exactly. And if you're trying to make your workplace gossip free, that's a fantasy. You're trying to make it healthy and direct so gossip doesn't become part of your culture. And if you're a leader listening and thinking, my team gossips a lot, don't just punish it. Ask yourself, what vacuum are we creating that gossip is filling? Folks, you've been listening to the HR Stories podcast, where there's a lesson in every story. Make sure you catch us next week for another great story, another great question. And of course, don't forget to check out the Ultimate Guide to HR Checklist Edition. John and I wrote it for you. It is a tool. It is a great tool. Go to ultimateguidetohr.com or check it out on Amazon.